sort of Life Alert and other similar types of solutions. Did you attempt to size the market of people that, like literally numbers, not only who would need this, that's probably a pretty large number I would guess, potentially, but who could afford it? And do you have any sense of pricing and that side of it?
Pricing is a little trickier. I think that would be ameliorated by partnering with a pre-existing band. I did, in one of the comments sections available on the survey, people said that obviously affordability is one of the biggest pieces that would draw them to the product, as well as it being sleek and inconspicuous. After talking to people at Life Alert, that's something that they're kind of lacking, is that like Life Alert's kind of a bulkier button, and they do provide bracelets, but those are just as bulky and they're only for your home, and they only alert the police, and so having both options provides like different types of consequences and implications associated with pressing the button. Did that answer? I remember those.
Yeah, do you have any sense of market size, and did you attempt to quantify that?
I talked with the Rape Crisis Center, which is based in Texas, and they said that there's definitely a need for this, especially among college campuses. But as far as statistics, I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
When you say partner with an existing band, do you mean like literally put it on an Apple Watch? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a beta version, I was trying to figure this out because it's tricky to do a prototype. After talking with some mentors, they don't even feel that there's a need for a prototype because there's so much data. They're saying that it's a pre-existing issue. However, I think it's possible that one would be needed. So one option is like making the app and getting that installed on an Apple Watch, and then installing the buttons to work in the ways that I had suggested with the safety and with the different buttons, meaning like police, campus security, group of friends. But that's, yeah.
So you put a button on an Apple Watch?
It's already on there. I looked
Okay.
at some yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think would be a timeline? If you
As far as production or
creating the app and then having it being introduced to a wearable device? Yeah.
After talking with people, the app making process seems like it will be relatively rapid, considering there are a lot of pre-existing apps that do this and provide this service, but they aren't connected to a bracelet, so that's where the time would come in and be longer than making like a pre-existing product. But if I partnered with something like Jawbone, like the Upband, then the process would be much quicker because it's already pre-existing. But if I had to manufacture that myself, like I suggested possibly in phase 2, that would make it a lot longer. Yes.
How are you thinking about kind of in that partnership? I mean, why would it look like if it was really enthusiastic, why would they not possibly just do this? And or what, when you talk about the IP of it, protecting it, what would be built out to be protected?
I was actually just talking with Ian about someone at Middlebury that does that free of cost, and finding different ways to patent your idea like this. I think generally, like, people could take this, and honestly, I don't care. Like, I want people to be safe, and if like this helps people, that's kind of all that matters to me. Obviously, it would be nice to have intellectual property associated with this, but that's not my goal.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Lily Rosenberg. I'm going to be a junior at Middlebury College, and I'm actually a Middlebury local. So I wanted to talk to you today about my innovation idea, which is called Middlebury CareNection, Mid-Kids Caring for Mids Kids. This project is a babysitting service that strives to create caring connections between parents and students in the Middlebury community. And the core values here are convenience, efficiency, and above all else, trust. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the need. This is a need in the Middlebury community. For example, over on the left in my little cartoon, you see a Middlebury College student who says, I need to make money. In talking to a lot of students at Middlebury, I've found that they find that on-campus jobs are inconvenient, and that even though they don't have time to do a full-time job, they do want to have a little extra spending cash while they're in college. On the other side, we have the families. So there are many families in the Middlebury community with young children who are looking for babysitters, but they may not have the connections with the students to make that connection and find a reliable and quality babysitter in the area. So enter Middlebury Connection. We have sort of 3 main points here. First being mutual trust, which I'll talk about a little bit more soon. But one of the great parts of this that's going to ensure convenience is the payment option, which will be online. So I'm looking into different abilities to pay on an online site. So looking at PayPal, Braintree, Stripe, and also looking at developing my own using something like Ruby on Rails. The next part of that is scheduling. So there would be an ability to create your profile and to put in your availability so that when a family is looking for a babysitter, they go online and they only see babysitters who are available at the time that they're looking for. So it eliminates the back and forth and texts and emails between families and babysitters when they're not even able to babysit that day. Yes. So market research. I talked to a lot of different babysitting networks that do this. And I also looked in the Middlebury community. So one of the things that I found that reliable options in the Middlebury community are limited. There are some competitors such as Care.com or Sitter City, but these are larger networks that are more rigid and not localized. And the benefit of the Middlebury Connection is that it is a small community network that will be create more of a community and a more caring connection here. I also did sort of informal surveys of students and parents and found that people are really interested in this idea. For parents, direct quote from a parent that I spoke to on the phone yesterday is that finding a babysitter is a struggle. They say that having one reliable babysitter just isn't enough. You need to have multiple reliable babysitters, especially in a community like Middlebury where sitters have such crazy schedules. It might be going abroad, graduating, starting a new sport. So they say you really need like a handful of reliable babysitters. And then students, it was the same thing. I had 4 students yesterday come up to me and say they wanted to start be babysitters in my service. And I've spoken to a lot of other students over the last year. So whenever I have a babysitting job in town, my friends say, where did you find that family? How did you get that connection? I don't know anybody in Middlebury. So I think that this would help both parties. And then additionally, I have an endorsement already from a leading local family website, which is called Miniberry. And it's started by Eliza Eaton, who's a Middlebury alum and lives in Weybridge, Vermont. And she's a mother of 3 young kids, and she has expressed that this is something that she's wanted to start for a very long time, but just hasn't had the time or the ability to do it on her own. So she was really excited for me to do this. So in terms of the business model, I have on one side what I've called trust management, because if many of you of the people in here are students, so you're not parents, but if you're a parent, you know that if you're going to leave your child with somebody who you don't know, who you've never met before, you really need to have the ability to trust that person, because the children are your most prized people in the world. So to that end, I have decided that in order to maintain the trust here, we're going to do background checks and CPR and first aid certification for all babysitters. There will also be in-person interviews, which I will conduct, and a mandatory training, which I will also conduct. And then also, the website, as I said earlier, will have profiles, and so after a babysitter babysits for a family, there's the ability to do rating and create a review so that there's a two-way mutual trust maintenance there. As far as financial components, I've looked at a bunch of different financial models for a service like this. After talking to Nanny Tucket and Wonder Sitter, and also looking at how SitterCityandCare.com do their pricing, because it can be challenging for a service like this. I've decided on a variable pricing, so think sort of Uber for babysitting, but with tips. So the pricing of the babysitting job will be variable depending on when you book your sitter. So if you're booking your sitter at 5 p.m. on a Friday night for 7 p.m., it's going to be more expensive unless you're booking 2 weeks in advance. Also, there will be price surging for really competitive times such as Christmas party times, and also reunion weekend at Middlebury. Let me tell you, you can make a lot of money that weekend. So there will be revenue sharing with the website in order to conduct background checks and in-person interviews, all of these things, and also in order to fund the ability to make the website, make the algorithm, and the online payment system. And then again, the seamless online payments that eliminates the awkwardness of the end of the night when you have to look for another 20 in your wallet. If you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. So that brings me to the biggest part of this organization, which is trust. It really works on mutual trust, which means that parents are trusting me to give a good recommendation, and I'm trusting the parents that they're not going to go behind the back of the website, because it's not really in their interest to do that. It's really hard to think of an incentive for a parent to stay with the site once you make a good caring connection. Personally, I've made great connections in my life, 10 years of babysitting experience, but like I said earlier, babysitters don't always have time to babysit, so you need to have access to this long list of reliable sitters. The timeline, so in the short term, I'm going to develop the website and recruit sitters and parents. And like I said, I already have a lot of people who are interested. And then the long term, I'm going to create an app and expand to other communities. Thank you. Questions? Sure.
Sure. I'll just say I love this idea, but I also get probably pitched it at least once a month, sort of Uber for babies. It's funny you say that, because we were literally just talking about this last night at the office. But it's a fantastic idea if you can do it. So where do you plan to get the funds to sort of get above everybody else that wants to do this in Sitter City and sort of grow this? Because you can't sort of wait and start at Middlebury and hope that it grows big, because that could take years. So,
well, of course, that's a great question. Obviously, I want to start in the Middlebury community because that's the community that I know best. I already have a lot of connections there. One person that I spoke to during my research was Andy Lloyd, and she's the Dean of Faculty at Middlebury, and she says that this is something that she gets asked a lot by new faculty with young children. Andy is also on the board for the Fund for Innovation at the college, as is Ernie Perzo, who was a mentor here last week. And I spoke with him and also Andy about the idea of maybe applying for an